Hey guys, Faro here with League Top 10, and today we're going to be doing the Riven first impression. Now, a lot of you are wondering why it's taken me so long to come out with this first impression, and that's because Riven is such a polar character. It's very hard to get a grasp on the character because one game you're going to stomp someone out, and the next game you're going to get completely shut out. So it's taken me a while to get a grasp on her and figure out exactly how I feel about the character. But now I have a grasp, so I'm going to tell all of you guys about it. First question is obviously, is the character worth 6,300 IP? And the big answer on the board is no, not right now. She is too ineffective and frankly outclassed. So do not pick her up quite yet. She will be getting buffed. Pick her up then because she is fun. But for now, save your IP. So Riven can fill a lot of different roles. She can play AD bottom, she can jungle, or she can take top. She can't do mid because she's just going to get stomped out by 90% of the matchups. And frankly, I don't think she can do bottom very well either, because if you put a ranged AD down there and any kind of competent support, then there is no way she's going to be able to get close enough to counterattack. You know, she's not like Jax or Xin or someone like that who can just charge in there and get some hits off in a trade. She really can't force anyone to fight her at any point in time. And that's why I think she does really well in the jungle or top. Now, top is very matchup specific. You know, she can pretty much outfight almost anyone, but you need to have people who have to fight you. Like if you go top against someone like Talon, who really isn't trying to fight you, he's just trying to throw W at you a bunch until you run out of hit points, then you're not gonna win that fight. You're never gonna outlane him. He's gonna harass you down using W, and then when you get low enough that you can't really put up a fight, he's gonna silence Q, ult, and then you're gonna get pooped on. It's not gonna be pretty. So up top, you want characters who actually can fight you. I laned against Garen, and I won. I laned against Singed, and I won. Laned against, Jarvan, I won. Wukong, I was winning. And, that's how the matchups go with her. If you can force people to fight you, she'll do really well, because she is actually a good fighter in one-on-one situations, especially low levels. Level 1, if you get someone to fight you, you are going to win, because Broken Wings with her passive gives you more damage than any other level 1 spell. Like, it's absurd. So I've been playing her primarily solo top and jungle. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Core items, obviously, you're going Wriggles first. You're going Boots. Boots, you can go either Merc Treads or Ninja Tabby. I've seen people do cooldown shoes. I don't really like it, but that's, personal preference. I don't do Brutalizer because I don't run flat armor pen on her. I run flat AD. I actually have 15 AD for my rune page. And, I think that's necessary when you're jungling with her and optional when you're laning. But I think it's really good in lane. So I run it no matter what. And Brutalizer's really not that effective if you're not running the flat armor pen to back it up. So after that, I think the most core item on her, like out of anything, pretty much as core as Boots, is Last Whisper. You need to pick it up. It's 40 flat AD, 40% armor pen. Playing Riven without rushing Last Whisper, I would say was the biggest mistake I've made in League of Legends in a long, long time. Like, I used to complain that her ult did no damage, and then I got Last Whisper, and suddenly the ult was just cutting through so many people. It did an actual respectable amount of damage. So Last Whisper, super core. After that, it's really up to you. When I jungle, I like to do Aegis into Phage for survivability, and Aegis gives you a little bit of damage. When I'm laning, I like to go Thirster, so that I'm rocking Thirster Last Whisper, like a standard AD carry. And I like to run in a little bit after the fight starts, and just do as much damage as humanly possible. Like, there's a game that I'm probably going to be showing here where I got shut out pretty hard in lane. I ended lane like 2 and 5 or something because of a lot of ganks. And I just farmed up Last Whisper, Thirster, and then I think I started building Infinity Edge, and we just started cutting through team fights because that's how the character works. Like, all of her abilities are AoE. People don't seem to realize that. You know, it's just like with Orianna. Now let's talk about Trinity Force, which I've seen a lot of bad players recommend rushing. Trinity Force gives you an increase on your next attack after you use a spell. That's 150% of your base attack damage. Now for those who don't know what that means you take away all of the damage you get from buffs and items and you increase that by 150%, and then on your next attack you do that much. So what I'm telling you right now is that if you have a bad base attack damage, Trinity Force becomes bad to rush. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm saying it's bad to get first. And the reason for that, the reason it's so bad on Riven, because you look at her kit and you're like, she is made for this. She has 5 spells that she can use all the time and then an ultimate, so 6. She can just chain that thing everywhere. And her passive already says, you know, you should use a spell and then wait an auto attack, and that just gives you time for Sheen procs. That would be true if her auto attack damage wasn't terrible. Her auto attack damage is so bad, casters have a better auto attack than she does. Her auto attack damage goes from, I think, 52 at level 1 to 100 and maybe 14 at max level. Like, that's terrible. And you're spending your money on Trinity Force for a proc that will give you an extra 150 AD every 3 seconds, which is stupid because you could be spending that money on a BF sword. There's math on the forums that says for 4,000 gold, and you spend 4,000 on Trinity Force, if you buy 2 BF swords, Triforce itself is good when you're slot capped because it gives you a lot of stats in one slot. If you have 5 items, if you have an inventory with 5 items that are really, really good, then you need to get Trinity Force as your last item because it's the most expensive item in the game and gives you the most stats. Attack speed, crit chance, movement speed, slow, health, damage, Sheen proc. So good for one slot. But if you are not running into the I'm out of inventory space issue, spend it on good items. Make her a really good AD carry, because remember, the Triforce proc doesn't apply to your abilities, and the 1/1 AD damage applies to Broken Wings, which is AoE, Key Shout, or Key Blast, which is AoE, her shield, which is her only source of defense, and her R. So, and with her R, it's obviously the 2-part. You get the 20% and the AoE damage from the Wind Slash. So, get flat attack damage. Do not rush Trinity Force. Now, from here, we have a couple things to talk about. Basically, I'm going to talk about how I would improve the character. And there are a couple important things I want to hit on. Her E is kind of confusing because it's pretty much her only reliable way to close a gap, but it's also her only defensive. So if you're using E to get there on time, you might not have E up when you actually get there, and you're going to be in trouble because you need that for hit points, or you need that for survivability. So I feel like that's a little bit confusing. You either need to make the E jump farther or lower the cooldown, because you need to sink a lot of points into Valor to do well with this character. Because at low levels, Valor has like a 12 or 11 second cooldown, and then it loses a second per point you put in. And at max level, she has good mobility, but at the cost of either her Key Shout cooldown, which has the exact same cooldown scaling as Valor, or damage on Broken Wings. The problem with that is that Broken Wings damage tends to be outdone by auto attack damage as you get later into the game, And that's just because Broken Wings scaling is 0.6 instead of 1/1. When you get to higher levels of attack damage, it's 0.6 per strike, but it replaces an auto attack. So unless you're hitting multiple targets, it's better to auto attack. And that's just how the character works. So I don't like that. I would increase the scaling on Broken Wings and lower the base damage. Let's see. Passive, I love the passive. Key Shout, I hate the fact that it has a cast time. I'm pretty sure everyone hates the fact that it has a cast time. I don't even know how that made it through post-production of the character. I don't know how they were like, we're going to make a momentum-based character, but we're going to give her a 0.5 second stun, and it's going to stun herself, and the stun is affected by Merc Treads. So really, she's stunning herself for as long as she's stunning anyone with Merc Treads. And we're going to make the range so bad that it pretty much can't hit anything that's not auto-attacking you in melee range. What I would do there is definitely just get rid of the cast time, and hopefully everything else works itself out, because it is a good ability. It's got great scaling, good damage scaling as well per point. And let's see, for the ultimate, I feel like the ultimate is really, really lacking as an AD steroid. Late game, it's super good. 20% attack damage on a character who has all AD ratios is really, really, really good. But early game, it's really bad. Like, it's awful. As an example, Nocturne gets 55 flat AD from Duskbringer, and your ultimate increases your attack damage by 20% with no flat increase. So at early levels, let's say you did really well in lane and you got Wriggles, Boots, and you have your flat AD runes by level 6. If you were to hit your ult then, you would gain a bonus of what, 5 AD? Like, for hitting your ultimate? That's so stupid. It's not even worth your time. Actually no, it wouldn't be 5, it'd be like 7. Because it's 23 for the Wriggles and then 15 for the attack damage marks. So yeah, it comes out to like 7. You gain 7 attack damage. It's really bad early, really, really good late. I really feel like it should have a flat component so that there's some incentive to use it early other than the Wind Slash nuke. Wind Slash itself, obviously I hate the cast time on it. I've complained about it before. I'll complain about it again. It's so bad. Cast time is awful on that ability. But damage when you go Glass Cannon Riven is silly on that skill. It's so good. Let's see. Other than that, I really feel like her ultimate is lacking in utility, and I know how that sounds because it increases the AoE range of all of her skills, so it should be really good. But I feel like she doesn't have a really good chasing mechanism outside of, the movement she gets from E, Q, Q, Q. And the problem there is that you're not a high mobility champion if Udyr can catch you. Nidalee is a high mobility champion. You could blow summoner spells and never catch a Nidalee. That's what high mobility means. And Riven doesn't have that right now. I feel like if her ultimate maybe increased the dash range on Valor, or gave her movement speed, or at the very least made it so that she didn't have unit collision, then I'd be happy with it. Because right now, if you're chasing someone and units get in the way, you can't Valor through them, you can't Q through them. You will literally stop dead on top of units. And that's awful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire Riven First Impression brought to you by Faro. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.